tell us what SNAP does?
SNAP provides self-based peer support for survivors, their loved ones, and advocates who are doing the work in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is in the greater Austin area?
Well, I am supporting the Austin area, but it's a global organization.
Okay.
So we have support group leaders around the world.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, that's always good to know. Christy, did you have a question for Carol?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to have you on. We're excited to talk about the work that y'all do. But more than anything, I mean, just today, the Texas Archdiocese released their list of credibly accused priests, right? So 286 credibly accused. How are y'all reeling from that? I saw, there was a candlelight vigil last night. I mean, this has to be really upsetting and at the same time exciting because things are moving forward. I mean, how did that land for y'all?
You're right. We do have mixed emotions about this because on the one hand, it's a step in the right direction, but in the other hand, the Austin Diocese list is mostly deceased priests or priests that they've taken some action on. So the Austin Diocese list is incomplete, and we really want them to put a list out that includes all accused religious people. So that would be nuns, deacons, friars. So just go down the list of anyone within a church organization who's been accused.
So these credibly accused, and that term that they're using in their own internal investigation, I mean, I know they hired outside investigators, but this is not being done by the Texas Attorney General or anything like that. This is by them.
For them.
Yeah, and so does it feel like enough at this point?
No.
So to clarify, so our viewers understand, the list that has come up is a list not from the state.
Correct.
It is a list that they produced themselves, which mostly consists
of deceased
and already sanctioned people.
Yes.
All right.
And most of the people on that list from the Austin Diocese are people who perpetrated more than 20 years ago.
Right, so statute of limitations. Yep. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. So do you feel that there is a need for there to be more of an investigation from the state?
There needs to be an investigation from our local prosecuting district attorneys and law enforcement. Right now, our Attorney General doesn't have the legal authority to initiate a grand jury investigation. The laws in Texas are structured differently than Pennsylvania or Michigan. Our district attorneys have the prosecuting authority and investigating authority. The AG can't require one.
So really it's local, it's bringing
local.
It home.
And so this all was prompted, I mean, you mentioned the Pennsylvania grand jury report, and that was back in August. Of course, we've talked here, and we all remember the Spotlight reports that started coming out in 2002. I mean, so what prompted the Texas Archdiocese to do this, and how did we get here? I mean, it seems like this has been just ongoing almost 20 years now of sort of pretending to do something or starting to do something about these abuses?
Right. So I'll start with a case out of Texas, which involved the Lutheran denomination. And that
Raised
case,
Lutheran.
Same here. And that case was brought in Marshall, Texas, against a priest in that city. He had 14 victims. And after the state prosecuted and convicted him, then there was a civil suit in 2004 against the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. And they settled. It was the first large payout in the United States ever. And there was a settlement agreement where the ELCA said that they would implement policies and procedures. There were guardian ad litems assigned to oversee the settlement agreement to make sure that everything they said they were going to do, they would do. So fast forward to 2018, when I tried to make a report of the abuse that had happened when I was a child, their website was non-functional.
So that they were not living up to the terms of the settlement, really.
Right. And talking with other survivors, both who were recently victimized as a child or as an adult, and in the past, there's still a pattern of moving the clergy person around, not informing the next community that he goes into. And so that behavior is still ongoing in the Lutheran Church 20 years after a settlement agreement. And the reason that's important is the Catholic Church is, now they're on their second round, because the public pretty well thought this had been handled back in 2002. And we're seeing now that that wasn't the case. There was a lot of publicity and lip service to the policies that they had implemented, but in reality, they weren't following through and executing. Right. So there's a face that's put up to give the appearance of being thorough and compliant, but in reality, the same behaviors are still happening. Just they're hidden and covered up. So, with the Catholic diocese, when the Pennsylvania grand jury report came out, SNAP and other advocates started pressing their AGs to request a similar investigation, and it just has spread. It's been a grassroots movement by survivors and by SNAP across the states. We've been asking survivors to write letters to their AGs requesting internal investigations. And more survivors have been coming forward and sharing their stories about what happened when they reported, what's happened, and how the churches haven't been receptive. And so that's how different AGs, New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, Missouri, they're now doing investigations. And states like Texas, several people have written AG, and myself included, and they responded that they don't have the jurisdiction.
Not empowered with the authority to actually investigate.
Right.
Okay.
So we dropped the ball, it sounds like, in 2002. There was now this growing grassroots movement. It seems to be picking up momentum, but what happens now? I mean, where do you see all of this headed?
Well, in the state of Texas, we're hopeful that local prosecuting attorneys will initiate investigations for the diocese where they have jurisdiction, and we're hopeful that the stories that are out in the media will embolden and give survivors encourage to come forward and share their stories, either with SNAP or with the National Hotline or law enforcement.
I mean, it is heavy stuff, and we have a few people in the chat actually saying, of course, today is a topic that would piss them off. Yeah. But it's an important topic that I think we all have a right to be outraged about, that this is still going on. The fact that there are still Catholics or people attending these religious institutions where they know that these things have happened and have gone on and have been protected is definitely salt in the wound for many, many victims.